In the year 2347, Earth was a shadow of its former self. Centuries of war, pollution, and greed had left it scared and broken. The skies were often gray with dust, and the oceans had turned murky. Humanity clung to survival, scattered across colonies on distant planets, but even those places were beginning to feel the strain. Yet, amidst all the despair, there was one last effort to leave a mark, a final message to the stars. Deep in the frozen Arctic, hidden beneath layers of ice, stood a massive machine called Asterisk, the Messenger Asterisk. It wasn't just any device. It was humanity's way of shouting into the vastness of space. Built over decades by scientists and engineers who worked tirelessly despite the odds, Asterisk, the Messenger Asterisk, was designed to send a powerful signal across the galaxy. Its purpose was simple: warn other civilizations about the dangers that could destroy them. Commander Daniel Hayes stood in the control room, his breath visible in the cold air. Beside him was Dr. Lauren Carter, her hands hovering over the console as she prepared to activate the system. Both of them knew how important this moment was. If anyone out there was listening, they needed to hear what humanity had to say. "Are we ready?" Daniel asked, his voice steady but tinged with tension. Lauren nodded without looking up. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing buttons. Almost. Just a few more adjustments. Daniel glanced around the room. The walls were lined with screens displaying streams of data, and blinking lights reflected off the frost-covered windows. Outside, the icy wilderness stretched endlessly, silent and desolate. It felt fitting, he thought, that humanity's last great act would happen here, far from the ruins of civilization. Finally, Lauren stepped back. "It's ready," she said softly. Daniel took a deep breath. He pressed the button that would send the message. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a low hum filled the room, growing louder until it seemed to shake the very ground beneath their feet. On the main screen, a wave of energy shot outward, invisible to the naked eye, but powerful enough to travel light years. The message itself was short and direct. "To all who hear this transmission, Defiance is futile. We speak not as conquerors but as survivors. Heed our warning or face extinction." As the words echoed through space, Daniel couldn't help but wonder if anyone, or anything, would hear them. Would they understand? Would they care? Or would the message simply drift into the void, unheard and forgotten? Lauren broke the silence. "Do you think it'll make a difference?" Daniel hesitated before answering. "I don't know," he admitted, "but if there's even a chance someone listens, it's worth it." Unbeknownst to them, their signal did more than just carry words. Far beyond the edges of the Milky Way, something stirred, ancient and vast. It had been dormant for eons, waiting. Now, awakened by the broadcast, it began to move, drawn toward the source of the transmission. What humanity had done wasn't just a warning. It was an invitation. Back on Earth, life went on as usual. People continued their daily struggles, unaware of the chain reaction set in motion by Asterisk, the Messenger Asterisk. But in the quiet Arctic base, Daniel and Lauren stared at the screens, watching the signal ripple outward. They didn't realize yet that their message had reached ears far older and far deadlier than they could have imagined. For now, though, they allowed themselves a small sense of hope. Perhaps, against all odds, humanity's voice would be heard. And maybe, just maybe, it would matter. Weeks passed after the activation of Asterisk, the Messenger Asterisk. The signal had been sent, but there was no response. No alien ships arrived in the sky, no strange messages came back, and no sign that anyone, or anything, had heard humanity's warning. The crew at the Arctic base began to lose hope. Maybe they were alone in the galaxy after all. Maybe their message would drift forever into the endless void. But then, strange things started happening near Proxima Centauri, a star system close to Earth. Reports trickled in from colonies and passing ships. People spoke of eerie phenomena. Communications cutting out, blackouts on space stations, and sightings of shadowy figures moving through the darkness. Some claimed to see flashes of light where no stars should be, while others reported hearing distorted voices over their radios. The stories were unsettling, but no one could explain them. Commander Daniel Hayes and Dr. Lauren Carter listened carefully to these reports. At first, they dismissed them as rumors or technical glitches, but when an entire colony ship vanished without a trace, they knew something was wrong. The ship's last transmission was garbled, filled with static and faint whispers that sounded almost human. It sent chills down Lauren's spine. Lauren spent days analyzing the data. She pored over logs, studied sensor readings, and pieced together fragments of information. Finally, she found something, a pattern in the disturbances. They all seemed to center around a specific area near Proxima Centauri. Digging deeper, she uncovered ancient records from abandoned alien ruins. These records spoke of a being known only as Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk. According to the texts, it was an ancient entity that consumed entire civilizations, leaving behind barren worlds stripped of life. Daniel called a meeting with his team. "We need to investigate," he said firmly. "If this thing is real, we can't ignore it." Dr. Carter nodded. "I agree. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. And if it's connected to our signal, we might have awakened it." They assembled a small crew aboard the starship Eclipse Asterisk, tasked with exploring the anomalies. Among them were Lieutenant Ryan Keller, a skilled pilot, Chief Engineer Maria Lopez, whose ingenuity kept the ship running, and Communications Officer Emma Walsh, who had a knack for decoding alien languages. Together, they set course for Proxima Centauri. As they approached the system, the crew spotted something unusual. An enormous artifact orbiting one of the outer planets. It was jagged and black, like a shard of obsidian, and it pulsed faintly with energy. Emma detected signals coming from the object, faint and fragmented, resembling pieces of human speech. "This doesn't feel right," Ryan muttered, gripping the controls tightly. Maria frowned as she examined the readings. "It's pulling us in, like gravity, but not." Lauren studied the artifact through the ship's cameras. Could this be part of Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk? She wondered aloud. Emma worked quickly to analyze the signals. What she discovered chilled them to the bone. Images flickered on the screen, scenes of countless species being consumed, their screams echoing through eternity. It was clear now. The artifact was a gateway, created by Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk, to lure victims closer. Daniel made a decision. "We'll send a probe inside. Let's find out what's waiting for us." As the probe entered the artifact, strange symbols appeared on the monitors, shifting and changing like living things. The crew watched in silence, unsure of what they were seeing. Then, suddenly, the probe's feed cut out. All that remained was static, and a single chilling word repeated over and over: Defiance. The room grew quiet. Everyone knew they were dealing with something far beyond their understanding. Whatever Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk was, it was watching them now. And it wasn't going to let them leave so easily. The crew of the Eclipse Asterisk stared at the monitors in stunned silence. The probe's feed had gone dark, leaving only static and that haunting word. Defiance. It echoed in their minds, a chilling reminder of the message humanity had sent into space. Had they awakened something ancient and dangerous? The thought weighed heavily on everyone. Commander Daniel Hayes broke the silence. "We can't just leave," he said firmly. "If this thing is connected to Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk, we need to know more." Dr. Lauren Carter nodded, though her face was pale. "Agreed. But we have to be careful. Whatever this artifact is, it's not natural." Lieutenant Ryan Keller, the ship's pilot, leaned forward in his seat. "Careful won't save us if that thing decides to attack," he muttered. His voice carried a hint of frustration, but also fear. Chief Engineer Maria Lopez adjusted the ship's systems, trying to gather more data. "The artifact's energy readings are off the charts," she reported. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before." If we go in, there's no guarantee we'll come back out. Communications Officer Emma Walsh focused on the strange symbols that had appeared on the screens. They shifted and changed, almost like they were alive. "I think these symbols are some kind of language," she said slowly. "But it's different, like it's not meant for us to understand." Despite the risks, Daniel made the call. "We're going in. Not all of us, just a small team. We'll take a shuttle and investigate the artifact up close." Lauren immediately volunteered. "I'm coming with you," she said. "If we're dealing with alien technology, we'll need someone who understands it." Ryan hesitated but eventually agreed to join them. "Fine," he said, "but don't say I didn't warn you." Maria stayed behind to monitor the *Eclipse*, while Emma worked to decode the symbols from the safety of the ship. The three-person team boarded the shuttle and approached the artifact cautiously. As they drew closer, the jagged structure loomed larger, its surface shimmering faintly with an eerie light. When they entered the artifact, the air inside felt heavy, almost suffocating. The walls seemed to pulse with energy, and the same shifting symbols covered every surface. Emma's voice crackled over the radio. "I'm picking up more signals," she said. "They're stronger here. It's like it's trying to communicate." Lauren examined the walls closely. "Or lure us deeper," she added quietly. As they moved further into the artifact, they found themselves in a large chamber. In the center stood a pedestal, glowing faintly. On it rested a strange object, a crystal-like shard that pulsed with the same energy as the artifact itself. "What is that?" Ryan asked, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. "I don't know," Lauren replied, stepping closer. "But it might be important." Before anyone could stop her, Lauren reached out and touched the shard. Instantly, the room erupted in blinding light. Images flooded their minds, scenes of destruction, worlds burning, civilizations screaming as they were consumed. It was overwhelming, too much to process. Daniel grabbed Lauren's arm and pulled her back. "That's enough," he shouted. "We need to get out of here." The team turned to leave, but the artifact wasn't done with them. The walls began to shift, closing off exits and trapping them inside. A deep, resonant voice filled the chamber, speaking words none of them could understand. It wasn't angry, it was curious, probing. Emma's voice came through the radio again, panicked. "You need to leave now. The artifact's energy levels are spiking. It's going to collapse." Ryan took the lead, blasting open a path with his weapon. "Move," he yelled. They ran, dodging falling debris and bursts of energy. Just as they reached the shuttle, the artifact let out a deafening roar. The team barely made it aboard before the entire structure imploded, disappearing into nothingness. Back on the Eclipse, the crew sat in stunned silence. They had escaped, but at what cost? The shard Lauren had retrieved glowed faintly in her hands, a reminder of the horrors they had witnessed. "What did we just bring back with us?" Maria asked, her voice trembling. No one had an answer. But they all knew one thing. Whatever it wasn't finished with them yet. The crew of the Eclipse sat in silence, staring at the glowing shard Lauren had brought back from the artifact. It pulsed faintly, as if alive, casting an eerie light across the room. No one spoke. The weight of what they had seen, and what they might have unleashed, hung heavy in the air. "We shouldn't have taken it," Emma said finally, breaking the silence. Her voice was quiet but firm. "That thing, it doesn't belong here." Lauren held the shard carefully, her fingers trembling slightly. "I know," she admitted, "but we needed answers. If this is connected to the Devourer *, we can't just ignore it." Commander Daniel Hayes rubbed his temples, trying to think clearly. "We'll study it," he decided. "But we do it safely. Maria, set up a containment unit. We're not taking any chances." Maria nodded and got to work, setting up a secure chamber to hold the shard. The team agreed to keep it isolated, monitored at all times. But even with precautions, unease spread through the ship like a shadow. As the hours passed, strange things began to happen. Lights flickered without warning. Equipment malfunctioned. Voices, faint and distorted, echoed through the corridors, though no one was there. Emma spent hours trying to trace the source of the voices, but they seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Ryan grew increasingly agitated. "This is a mistake," he snapped during one tense meeting. "That thing isn't just some alien trinket. It's dangerous. We should have left it behind." "And then what?" Lauren shot back. "Let it fall into the wrong hands. Or worse, let the Devourer use it again." Daniel stepped in before the argument could escalate. "Fighting won't help us," he said firmly. "We need to focus, figure out what this thing is and how to deal with it." But tensions continued to rise. Ryan started spending more time alone, avoiding the others. He claimed he couldn't sleep, plagued by nightmares he refused to talk about. Meanwhile, Lauren poured herself into studying the shard, determined to uncover its secrets. She discovered fragments of data buried within its energy patterns, images, sounds, and even whispers that hinted at a vast intelligence. Emma worked tirelessly to decode the symbols they'd seen in the artifact. Slowly, she pieced together a message. Coordinates pointing to another location, deep near the galactic rim. "It's a map," she told the group. "This shard is guiding us somewhere, or luring us into a trap," Ryan muttered under his breath. Despite his protests, Daniel decided they had no choice but to follow the coordinates. "If this leads us to answers, we have to go," he said. "But we stay alert. Trust nothing." The journey took them days, and the closer they got to the destination, the stranger things became. The shard's glow intensified, and the voices grew louder, almost deafening. One night, Ryan disappeared from his quarters. When the others found him, he was standing in front of the containment unit, staring at the shard. "It wants us to come," he said, his voice hollow. "It's calling us." Maria grabbed his arm. "Snap out of it, Ryan. This isn't you talking." But Ryan pulled away. "You don't understand," he said, his eyes wild. "It knows everything. It sees everything. Fighting it is pointless." Before anyone could stop him, Ryan deactivated the containment field. The shard floated free, its light blinding. A wave of energy surged through the ship, knocking everyone off their feet. When they recovered, Ryan was gone. And so was the shard. The ship's sensors detected a massive object nearby, a derelict alien vessel drifting silently in space. On its hull were markings identical to the symbols from the artifact. Daniel realized the shard had led them here, and Ryan had likely been drawn aboard. "We need to go after him," Daniel said, though dread filled his chest. Lauren hesitated. "What if it's already too late? What if he's changed?" "We don't leave people behind," Daniel replied. "Not unless we have no other choice." The team suited up and prepared to board the alien vessel. As they approached, a sense of unease settled over them. The ship looked dead, its surface scared and dark. But inside, lights flickered faintly, and faint mechanical hums suggested it was still operational. "This feels wrong," Maria whispered as they entered. Emma gripped her scanner tightly. "Stay close. Whatever's in here, it's not friendly." They moved cautiously through the corridors, searching for Ryan. Every step felt heavier, as if the ship itself resisted their presence. Then they heard it, a low, rhythmic sound like breathing. It came from deeper within the vessel. As they followed the sound, they found Ryan standing in a large chamber surrounded by dormant drones. His eyes were blank, his expression empty. In the center of the room loomed a massive console, pulsing with the same energy as the shard. "You shouldn't have come," Ryan said softly, his voice devoid of emotion. "It's too late for you." Before they could react, the drones sprang to life, surrounding them. The crew realized they weren't just dealing with Ryan anymore. They were facing the Devourer itself. and it had been waiting for them all along. The chamber was alive with movement. Drones swarmed around the crew of the Eclipse *, their metallic bodies gleaming faintly in the dim light. Each one hummed with energy, their glowing eyes fixed on Daniel, Lauren, Maria, and Emma. Ryan stood motionless in the center of the room, his face blank, as if he were no longer himself. Commander Daniel Hayes stepped forward, raising his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. "Ryan," he called out, his voice steady despite the fear gripping him. "It's me. You can fight this." But Ryan didn't respond. Instead, his lips curled into a cold smile. "You don't understand," he said, his tone flat and emotionless. "It doesn't matter what you do. Resistance is meaningless." Before anyone could react, the drones surged forward, forcing the crew back against the wall. Maria quickly pulled out a small device she had been working on, a prototype electromagnetic pulse generator, and activated it. A sharp burst of energy rippled through the air, causing several drones to falter and drop to the ground. "Move," Daniel shouted, seizing the moment. The team bolted toward the exit, dodging the remaining drones that recovered from the EMP blast. Behind them, Ryan's voice echoed coldly. "You can't escape." They ran through the alien ship's narrow corridors, their footsteps echoing loudly in the eerie silence. The walls seemed to shift and change, as if the vessel itself was alive. Lights flickered erratically, casting strange shadows that made it hard to see. "We need to get back to the Eclipse *, Lauren panted, clutching the EMP device tightly. "If those things follow us, we'll never make it." Emma glanced over her shoulder, her heart pounding. "What about Ryan?" she asked, her voice trembling. "We can't just leave him." "He's not Ryan anymore," Maria snapped, her tone harsh but filled with sorrow. "Whatever's controlling him, it's too strong." Daniel hesitated but nodded. "She's right. We save who we can." Reaching the airlock, they found their shuttle waiting where they had left it. But as they climbed aboard, the ship shuddered violently. The drones were catching up, their mechanical claws scraping against the hull. Maria worked frantically to start the engines while Daniel manned the controls. "Hold on," he yelled as the shuttle shot forward, breaking free of the alien vessel's grip. Behind them, the massive ship loomed, its surface now glowing faintly with the same energy as the shard. As they sped away, Emma stared at the screen, her hands shaking. "It's following us," she whispered. Sure enough, the alien ship began to move, trailing them like a predator stalking its prey. Lauren leaned over the console, trying to think of a plan. "We can't outrun it," she said grimly. "We need to disable it somehow." Maria adjusted the EMP device, her mind racing. "If I can boost its power, maybe we can hit their systems again, this time harder." "Do it," Daniel ordered, "but hurry." Maria worked quickly, rewiring the device to amplify its output. Meanwhile, Daniel maneuvered the shuttle in a zigzag pattern, trying to evade the alien ship's weapons. Beams of energy streaked past them, narrowly missing their hull. Finally, Maria held up the modified EMP. "Ready." "Now or never," Daniel muttered, turning the shuttle sharply and heading straight for the alien vessel. At the last second, he fired the EMP, sending a massive wave of energy crashing into the enemy ship. For a moment, everything went still. Then the alien ship erupted in a blinding flash of light, its systems overloaded and collapsing in on itself. The crew shielded their eyes as debris scattered across space. When the chaos subsided, all that remained was silence. The alien ship was gone. Back aboard the Eclipse *, the team regrouped, exhausted and shaken. They had escaped, but at a terrible cost. Ryan was lost, likely consumed by the Devourer *. None of them spoke about what had happened, but the weight of his betrayal hung over them like a dark cloud. As they set a course for Earth, Daniel looked out at the stars, his jaw clenched. They had survived this encounter, But he knew the fight wasn't over. The Devourer was still out there, watching, waiting. And next time, humanity might not be so lucky. The crew of the Eclipse was battered and broken, both physically and emotionally. They had escaped the alien vessel, but the victory felt hollow. Ryan was gone, taken by the Devourer and his betrayal weighed heavily on everyone. The shard they had brought back from the artifact was also gone, destroyed in the explosion, but its influence still lingered in their minds. As they traveled back toward Earth, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Maria spent most of her time alone in the engine room, working tirelessly to repair the damage caused by the EMP blast. Emma tried to decode fragments of data they had gathered from the alien ship, hoping to find a way to fight the Devourer. Lauren, meanwhile, couldn't shake the guilt of bringing the shard aboard in the first place. She replayed the events over and over in her mind, wondering if she could have done something differently. Commander Daniel Hayes did his best to keep the team together, but even he struggled to stay focused. He knew they couldn't face the Devourer alone, not after what they'd seen. Humanity needed allies, but who could they trust? Who would believe them? One night, as Daniel stood on the bridge staring out at the stars, a faint signal appeared on the ship's sensors. At first, he thought it was interference, but the signal grew stronger. It wasn't like anything they'd encountered before, a rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat. "Emma, come take a look at this," Daniel called over the intercom. Emma hurried to the bridge, her eyes widening as she studied the readings. "It's not natural," she said. "This is some kind of communication." Lauren joined them moments later. "Could it be the Devourer again?" she asked, her voice tinged with fear. "I don't think so," Emma replied. "This feels different, almost like a response." Daniel made a decision. "We're going to investigate. If there's even a chance someone, or something, is trying to help us, we can't ignore it." They followed the signal to a remote region near the galactic rim, where they found a cluster of ships drifting silently in space. These vessels were unlike any they'd ever seen, sleek and organic, as if they were grown rather than built. As the Eclipse approached, one of the ships detached from the group and moved toward them. A voice crackled over the comms, speaking in a language none of them understood. Emma worked quickly to translate, her fingers flying across the console. After a few tense moments, she looked up. "They say they're called the Forsaken They're survivors from civilizations that escaped the Devourer Daniel frowned. "Escaped? You mean they ran?" Emma nodded. "Yes, but they've been fighting back too. They want to meet with us." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Trusting strangers, especially alien ones, was risky, but they had no other options. Daniel gave the order to dock with the alien ship. When they boarded, they were greeted by a tall, imposing figure named Kale. His skin shimmered faintly, and his eyes glowed with an inner light. He spoke through a translator device, his voice calm but firm. "You've awakened something ancient," he said, "but you've also shown courage. That is rare." Lauren stepped forward. "We didn't mean to unleash the Devourer We just wanted to warn others." Kale nodded. "Your intentions do not matter now. What matters is what you choose to do next. Will you stand with us, or will you flee like the rest of your kind?" Daniel met Kale's gaze. "We'll fight, but we need your help." Kale studied him for a long moment, then gestured for them to follow. He led them to a large chamber filled with holographic displays showing maps of the galaxy. The Devourer feeds on fear and despair," he explained, "but it can be weakened if you strike at its core." Maria stepped closer, examining the maps. "Where is it?" she asked. Kale pointed to a distant star system. "There, but reaching it will not be easy, and surviving it will be harder." The crew knew the risks, but they also knew they couldn't turn back. With Cal's guidance, they began preparing for the final battle. The Forsaken taught them how to use electromagnetic pulses to disable Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk's drones, and shared intel about its weaknesses. Fear, they learned, was its greatest weapon, but courage could break it. As the days passed, the crew trained tirelessly, honing their skills and strengthening their resolve. They mourned Ryan's loss, but vowed to honor his memory by finishing what he couldn't. When the time came to face Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk, they were ready, or as ready as they could be. Daniel stood on the bridge, staring at the coordinates glowing on the screen. "This is it," he said quietly. "No turning back." Lauren placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're not alone anymore. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." With newfound allies and a fragile sense of hope, the crew set course for the heart of darkness. The fight ahead would test everything they had, but they were determined to prove that humanity's defiance was not in vain. The Asterisk Eclipse Asterisk approached the distant star system, its crew tense but focused. The coordinates provided by Cal led them to a massive structure floating in the void, a jagged obsidian fortress that pulsed with dark energy. This was it, the heart of Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk. The crew could feel its presence, an oppressive weight pressing down on them, filling their minds with doubt and fear. Commander Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge, his hands gripping the railing tightly. "This is it," he said, his voice steady despite the storm raging inside him. "We've trained for this. We know what we're up against." Dr. Lauren Carter nodded, her face pale but determined. "We strike hard and fast. No hesitation." Maria Lopes monitored the ship's systems, ensuring everything was ready. She had spent days reinforcing the EMP weapons, knowing they were their best chance at disabling Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk. Emma Walsh sat nearby, her fingers flying across the console as she scanned the fortress for weaknesses. Her eyes darted between screens, searching for any sign of vulnerability. As they drew closer, the fortress began to shift, its surface rippling like liquid. Drones poured out from openings, swarming toward the Asterisk Eclipse Asterisk. They moved faster than before, more aggressive, as if Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk, knew they were coming. "Here we go," Daniel muttered, gripping the controls. He maneuvered the ship expertly, dodging blasts of energy, while Maria fired the EMP cannons. Each shot sent waves of electricity through the swarm, disabling dozens of drones at a time. But there were too many. The ship shook violently as impacts rocked the hull. "We can't keep this up forever," Maria shouted, her voice strained. Emma pointed to a section of the fortress. "There, that's the core. It's weak there." Lauren leaned forward, studying the readings. "If we can hit that spot with a concentrated EMP blast, we might be able to overload it." Daniel didn't hesitate. "Maria, prepare the main cannon. Emma, guide us in." The crew worked together seamlessly, each person playing their part. Daniel steered the ship directly into the chaos, weaving through the swarm of drones. Maria charged the cannon, sweat dripping from her brow as she pushed the system to its limits. Emma guided them closer to the core, her voice calm but urgent. 10 degrees left. 5 degrees. Now. With a deafening roar, the Asterisk Eclipse Asterisk unleashed its most powerful EMP blast yet. A blinding wave of energy surged forward, slamming into the fortress's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, cracks began to form across the surface, glowing brighter and brighter until the entire structure erupted in a burst of light. The shockwave knocked the crew off their feet, but they held on, shielding themselves as debris scattered across space. When the light faded, the fortress was gone. Silence filled the void. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, Daniel let out a shaky breath. "Did we do it?" Emma checked the sensors, her hands trembling. "I think so. There's no trace of Asterisk, the Devourer Asterisk anymore." Relief washed over them, but it was short-lived. The cost of victory weighed heavily on their hearts. Ryan's betrayal, Maria's sacrifices during the battle, and the countless lives lost along the way. They all reminded the crew of how fragile hope truly was. Back on Earth, news of their success spread slowly. Humanity celebrated cautiously, unsure if the Devourer was truly gone or merely dormant. But the crew of the Eclipse refused to dwell on uncertainty. Instead, they focused on rebuilding, not just their world, but their relationships with other civilizations. Lauren dedicated her life to studying the data recovered from the Devourer hoping to prevent future threats. Daniel stepped back from active duty, mentoring young explorers eager to venture into the stars. Together, they ensured that humanity's message of warning would continue to echo through the galaxy. Though scared by loss and hardship, the crew carried something precious with them, the knowledge that even in the darkest times, courage and unity could shine through. Their story became a beacon of hope, a reminder that defiance, though costly, was never futile. And so, humanity's last warning lingered in the cosmos, carrying with it a promise. Though the road ahead was uncertain, the fight for survival would always endure.